Secret Galaxy live stream featuring Mike Kaess.
That's the face of a baby that just pooped.
Kate-in-chat.
You've been talking about that hot dog cart for 5 years.
And your host, Dan Larson.
One or the other. Take your pick. There's lots of different options.
Starts now.
Hello and welcome here to the show. Thank you all for being here tonight. We've got some special guests lined up, waiting to talk, and I'm excited to talk to them. But first, let's get the rest of the crew in here. He filled out the paperwork and paid all the fees to adopt a baby dragon. Just got to wait for a very strong stork to drop it off. It's Mike Kaess. What's up?
Sorry, I'm trying to catch my breath after that surprise new little zinger soundbite.
There wasn't a lot to work with. I'll be honest. Like, I've said it before. Like, we need a lot less crosstalk.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't remember the context behind that, but it was
it was the little cable baby mini mates figure.
That was it. Yeah. Anyways, hi. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely.
And yes, I did adopt a little dragon.
Yes, you did finally commit. What do we got? 3 weeks left on that? 2 weeks left on that.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, it's a lot. It's a big commitment. I don't know. I'm almost ready to commit to an actual
like
a living creature rather than that dragon.
Probably be cheaper, to be honest with you.
Yeah. She's got shelves for books. She's already finished. Shelves for books she hasn't started, and a big old pile of miscellaneous. It's Kate-in-chat. Hello, Kate.
Hello.
No dragons for you yet. We'll get there.
No, not yet.
We have to have that very serious conversation later.
No,
yeah.
I mean, it's fine.
So you're expecting a dragon.
Yeah.
What to expect when you're expecting a dragon.
Real quick, let's take a look, see who's here in chat. Thank you to Matt W. If you're here, I don't know if you're actually here. Thank you for becoming a channel member. We got Doc Zen, who's putting together his red herbs and his green herbs to get ready for our special guests here. Bitter Troll is here. Doralaxian is here. Charlie Squared. Nebula 427. We're going to hit this real quick right now because we're not actually going to do the blow mold segment this evening.
Rip that Band-Aid off.
Yeah, found 5 different blow molds at the flea market this morning. 4 Easter bunnies and 1 Halloween witch that seemed very confused. If that's
So were they 4 different Easter bunnies? And were any of the 4 the chocolate bunny?
Yes, good questions. Good questions.
Yes.
Need more info. Stephen Hall is here. Lord Long was here. Is here.
Yeah.
Tom Theodore. I think we said Stephen Fox. Max Esai is here. Rolling with Stones. Daith. Chad Stewart. Machine Man. It's the Rocketeer. Jay Reichert. Stealing Boom Sabulba.
He can have it now.
Mr. Ryan Clark. Alpha Magnus. And lots of other people. Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you for hanging out. Joining us here this evening. Let's go ahead and get our guests in here. We've got Adam and Ira. I'm just going to bring them in from TNT Co. I keep saying TNT Toys, but that's like saying DC Comics. It's like the C is the comics.
Yeah, sure.
Pin number, an ATM machine.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So let's start at the top here. Space Zombies from Mars is a TNT Co production. Who's TNT Co? We got Ira and Adam here. Who else? Anybody?
Yep. My brother Arlen is our third member. So it's just the 3 of us, and Arlen's the sculptor dude.
Okay. And we were talking a little bit before the show for those that aren't familiar. Arlen, and is it Pelletier?
We say Pelche. You could say Pelletier. Yeah.
Pelche?
Yeah, that's how we pronounce it. Yeah.
I've never heard that pronunciation for that. I've definitely heard Pelletier my whole life. Heard Pelletier. Oh wow.
That's how Robo says it.
Yeah.
Even though
He's
he's been
all over
told
the place
otherwise.
with it.
Yeah.
He's all over the place.
Adam,
He's
Adam,
Southern. He can't help it.
Adam, are you in Canada, Adam?
Yeah, all three of us are Western Canada.
Yeah.
You're
We
all
are Canadians.
Okay, I just on behalf, I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry for
super sorry.
Like
Feel
really
so
sorry.
bad.
Hey,
So
and,
embarrassing.
and on behalf, we're super sympathetic because you guys have to live in it. We just
Yeah.
get affected by it.
Yeah.
Hey, at least you got a new cool prime minister. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the next 6 weeks or so till we have an
Whatever.
election, and we might have a different. Yeah,
Who knows how politics works? That's what we talk about here, right?
Oh man, yeah.
Quick, back to toys. Where's the toy
Yeah.
switch?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Arlen, who is not here, who's the third member of TNT, he's done all kinds of sculpting for all kinds of different action figure lines, stuff that you absolutely have on your shelves right now. Adam, you mentioned Serpentor from Classified, as well as other classified items. Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, Fresh Monkey Fiction stuff. Right here I have one of the reindeer from Big Bad Toy Store and Fresh Monkey Fiction's Christmas reindeer. What is it from?
What? The naughty or nice?
Naughty or Nice.
Naughty or nice.
I slipped my mind, completely slipped my mind there. Naughty or Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
And lots of other things as well. So Adam, so what is your responsibility in this whole thing?
I get to do all the really glamorous stuff, like banking and accounting and setting up businesses and communicating with retailers and all the real fun stuff that people always have tons of questions about. No, I get a little bit of everything. That's kind of my main stuff. And then the creative stuff is more Ira and Arlen, and I just ride their coattails and get to do videos.
And then Ira, what is your field of responsibility here?
I call myself the lore master. I basically am the guy who comes up with stories, not comes up with them, but my brother and I kind of come up with stories together, and then I put them on paper and I write the comic books, and I help flesh out the characters and all that stuff. And then I'm also in charge of all the music part of it. So Arlen and I did the music together, and then I'm the one that did all the engineering and the mixing and all that stuff.
So I'm going to bring up the actual Kickstarter page here, so those that don't know what we're talking about here. This is the Space Zombies from Mars. Actually, hang on a second here. I gotta fix this one thing. Space Zombies. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say the soundtrack is my favorite part to any toy line.
Thanks.
This is where we're at currently. 33,819. Got 16 days to go. I don't know if the sound is going to come through on this. We'll see.
Nope.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
Yeah, you would hear some pretty freaky stuff if we could hear it.
Yeah, so I can hear it fine, but obviously it's not coming through. So
Play it live, Ira. Go.
I'm not even at home. You can see I'm at the fake library right now.
It's just a nice mood setter here.
Yeah, absolutely.
There'd be some real creepy sounds right there. Jump scare.
So that's our sort of setup, and that is one of the figures that's available in the campaign. I assume that's the actual 3D model for it.
Yeah.
So actually I've got so this is the campaign here. Please, if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. We'll put the link, I'll put the link in chat right now.
I've got to fill time while you're doing that.
Yeah, there's too much stuff on my desk.
Yeah, I was like, there's too much dead you gotta
pushing my action figures out of the way. There's too much stuff. Actually, I should really just hand producing over to you so I can focus on like talking and stuff.
I mean,
sometimes.
Well, maybe next time. I don't know.
So either Adam or Ira, whichever one you want, just if you want to give us the sort of elevator pitch on the lore here. Does the name tell us everything we need to know?
Pretty much, yeah. You're getting Space Zombies from Mars. So the story kind of takes place in the 1990s. You've got 4 crews of astronauts going to colonize Mars. this is Red Dust 2 because Red Dust 1 went there in the 60s, but we don't know what happened to them. And so you're getting the story of these four factions of astronauts and finding out what happens to them, and probably finding out what happens to Red Dust 1.
And then as far as the first wave of figures go, I'm going to close this out and bring in, because you sent over some really great photographs that we can take a look at. I can get much better look at here. Mike, Phil.
Okay. So 90s. Why the 90s?
Well, because that was our, toy collecting heyday. Well, I guess
Good
the 80s,
answer.
but like
Yeah.
but like 90s was for us sort of when we really started, being our creative selves.
Sure.
And so it's just a fun nostalgic time.
So why space in general? Why zombies in general, as opposed to fantasy, military, anything else?
Well, zombies, like Arlen has been, drawing and doodling zombies since I can remember. So we're brothers, obviously. And I would just watch him draw for hours, and he would draw these gruesome, zombies and horror pictures. He actually, the first idea for the naughty or nice line was this. He was 10 years old and he drew a Terminator Santa, and that's kind of where that whole thing sparked from, was the Terminator Santa he drew. And
Nice.
Cool. Yeah.
So you want to start with the regular non-zombies, or you want to start with the zombies?
Well, what are we talking about, figure stuff? Because Adam's going to be better at talking figure stuff. I'm the story guy.
All right. Well, we'll bounce it back and forth. Jump in as needed.
Yeah.
So I assume this is our ship's crew. Red Dust 2. Do we have a pilot, or are we just go in engineering? How's this working out?
So the commander of the mission is Guy Garrison, the military astronaut.
There he is.
There, yeah,
This
there
guy.
he is.
All right.
Guy Garrison is is sort of the commander of the mission. He is a decorated military veteran. Spike Spectre was his mentor, and so he's got his classified manila file, which has his sort of like extra mission. The first primary mission for Red Dust 2 is an exploratory and colonizing mission to Mars. Same thing that Red Dust 1 was. But Guy Garrison's kind of got a secondary mission to try to figure out where, Spike Spectre went and what happened to those guys. So that's why he gets, weapons and sort of this file. What you'll see with all the astronauts is that they all come with very unique accessories, and they are accessories that sort of make sense within the lore as well. So they're all kind of unique to who they are as a character, and, their function within the mission. So, the military guy comes with weapons, but the other three astronauts come with accessories that are practical for what they need to do on a colonizing mission.
Right.
And
Is
the
this?
ninja mask.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this alternate head the same character, or is this intended to be a different character?
I think
Different character.
Yeah.
With this one, it's the military one, is probably a little more likely to be an army builder type of character. So including a sort of anonymous face allows you to maybe get a couple and sort of swap the head out.
Gotcha.
And run the masked face. So.
These tubes, I assume those are going to be like flexible.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they're going to plug into anywhere where you see the sort of little round nodules there. There's sort of 3 on either side of the backpack. And then there's actually 2 on the torso of the astronaut. And then that military sort of crest there actually pops out. You can plug it in there too if you want.
Okay. Okay. All right. This grenade on the belt, is that on the belt?
It plugs into the belt.
Okay. Oh, that is,
So
so that's a loose piece.
Yeah.
Okay. Helmets, are we looking at visors, or is it just sort of an all one piece type thing?
No, it's actually 3 pieces.
Okay.
In order to put it together, you pop off the head, and then you put the bottom part on, And then I think I got this right, Adam. I've actually never held it in my hands, but
2 pieces.
2 pieces. Okay,
It was
sorry.
3 and now it's 2 because
Oh, okay. I'm
yeah, 3
not
didn't
up
make
to
sense.
date. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to Adam about it. Like I said.
2 pieces. So you pop the head off, the base goes on, the head goes on, and then the second part kind of locks in. The mask will be part of the top piece, and it does rotate. You can open it up.
Jay Reichert said, just pledged, been following along, but hadn't jumped in yet. Here's hoping we get through the unlocks so I can expand my pledge.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I will say in the Kickstarters that I have contributed to, the best goal for anybody that's jumping in pledging to any of these campaigns is to just pledge for whatever you're going to pledge for.
Yeah.
If everybody would just pledge for all the goals that they want right at the beginning, all the goals would open up.
Yes.
you know. And it's hard to say, the sort of momentum of the campaign, you don't want to be like, oh, I put in $500, but it only unlocked the first thing. So, I put in too much. You can always back that back out. But, it's like for now, might as well just put it all in, assuming like, all that stuff is going to get unlocked anyway.
Yeah, we keep saying the same thing. If you want all of the astronauts, we're going to have an all-in package that's about $350 US. And so if you want one of everything, put your pledge in for the equivalent of $350, and then when it all unlocks, you'll just go in and change your pledge. Your card isn't charged until the end of the campaign, so the campaign ends on March 31st. So you don't have to pay when you order, so there's literally no reason to wait. If you think you might get in on this, do it now, back now.
Yeah.
And like you said, if everybody's sort of sitting there waiting, there's the chance that it doesn't happen. So it's sort of like these tense moments, through the middle of the campaign where everybody's like, yeah, I'm going to back it soon enough.
Yeah.
It's like, no, do it now.
Just back it
You're
now,
there,
yeah.
you're looking at it, back the campaign, get everything unlocked, and then I can relax.
Yeah, Kickstarter doesn't charge you till the very end. So,
Yes.
right now it's just like play money, throw out whatever you think you're going to actually be interested in. That way it sort of builds momentum for everybody else who's watching it, because they see that number go up and then everybody gets excited. And then everybody, it's I've never been on that side of a Kickstarter, but I imagine that it is very frustrating to know that, there's more people out there that are just on the fence about to jump in, and you're just waiting for that right turn,
Yeah, absolutely.
Sort of kicks over and then everybody jumps in. But there was one comment I was gonna.
Derek Chandler is here.
I saw Derek. Yep, good to see it, Derek. There was a couple. Oh no, it was Collecting Brothers said that they pledged to prepare for launch. All in, baby.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Did get a question here about this leg. I assume it's a leg.
What leg?
Yeah,
The lamp.
it's
a lamp.
It's a prestigious award. It's a very
That
special
is,
award.
that is an Italian lamp. It's funny because like all this stuff that's in shadows, you can guess what all of it is. We're not trying to like be sneaky or like hide anything. We're just trying to get people to like talk about it and ask about it and discuss it. So the extra hands will get unlocked if we hit that stretch goal, and then the zombie parts, which represents for Guy Garrison, the third head, the leg lamp, and then the other thing sort of right in the middle there will be unlocked as part of the zombie parts pack in. So those will get unlocked, and then those will be included with the figures. So, if you back for this astronaut, you're going to get all this stuff for $40, which we think is a pretty good deal.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Jay Reichert, your pledge is totally editable until until
absolutely.
it charges.
Up until
add stuff,
the campaign
take stuff
closes.
away. If you decide to go a different tier, add throw in more army builders, whatever. Yeah, you can always change that. Is there a BBTS? Is that being handled differently this time with you guys?
Yeah, so I will say this. Big Bad Toy Store is not taking pledges for us. That's not how this works. So when Stygian 360 says I pledged via Big Bad Toy Store, you didn't. I don't know really how else to say that. You pre-ordered a figure that won't get made if the campaign doesn't fund.
So in the past, recently, Big Bad Toy Store has played a very, very big role in Kickstarter campaigns where they open up pre-orders. and people are able to put their orders there, just
Mhm.
in terms of they don't collect until the thing ships. So
Mhm.
you might be sitting there for a year or two with your pre-order, and then those orders get added to the campaign.
Mhm.
Is that the similar relationship here? Is this a sort of different kind of thing? that's
No, this is different because
Okay.
I've sort of seen that trend happening with action figure Kickstarter campaigns recently, and it's a little bit problematic. And I haven't really seen anybody talk about it, but I'm happy to talk about it for the sake of transparency.
I want to clarify for
Yeah.
you if there are people who think, that, oh, my thing's going to get added to the campaign at some point.
Yeah, it won't. It won't.
That's the short version.
Yeah, that's the short version. If you pre-order through Big Bad Toy Store, we don't see any of that money if this doesn't fund. We reached out to Big Bad Toy Store and eCollectibles in Canada because we're Canadian. And basically pre-arranged with them that they would be the go-tos for pre-orders during the campaign to sort of get eyes on the campaign, but also pre-orders, after, because that just makes it easier for people that either missed the campaign or, can't back it now for whatever reason. But in terms of having them sort of put money into the campaign, the reality is that if a retailer is buying these figures, they're not paying the same price that a backer is. They're paying a wholesale discounted price. On top of that, Kickstarter takes 10 to 15%, of every dollar that goes in. So if the retailers are backing and there's Kickstarter money coming off the top of that, there's absolutely no margin gained in there. There's no capital that it can actually go towards anything. It's it's effectively like paying to get the items, but it doesn't actually forward the campaign, which is, believe it or not, the point of doing a Kickstarter campaign. Sure. You need to get capital. And so we just sort of kindly said to them, like, you do your thing, and people can absolutely pre-order through them, but that won't, those pre-orders do not go towards the funding goal. So the sort of primary reason, or the primary way to get this thing funded, is for backers to back the campaign. And then on top of that, I didn't like the idea of a retailer being sort of financially responsible for the success or failure of this Kickstarter. I wanted this to be a crowd-funded project in the truest sense of the word. I want collectors to support this. I want collectors to back this and sort of back us. We are a brand new toy company. This is the first line of multiple lines that we would like to do. And so, if you believe in this line, if you believe in us, if you sort of want to be a part of this, please back the Kickstarter and get this thing funded. And once you do, you'll be able to say, like, you were part of this, and you sort of made this happen. I think pricing wise too, like, I think we've made it pretty appealing in that the Astronauts are like $40. I think on Big Bad Toy Store, they're 48 or 49. So you're already saving a bunch of money through the Kickstarter. And then if you buy multiples, there's actually a little bit of a discount based on sort of how many you buy. So.
Yeah, and Stygian, I want to clarify, I wasn't picking on you or anything. I had seen a note on, it was either on the Instagram, somewhere I had seen a note that maybe Big Bad Toy Store was a sort of different, it was not necessarily being interpreted properly, so I wanted to bring that up anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stygian, your comment was just the prompt for me to want to bring that up, so it's all good. Other characters here we have, actually, let's go over to, somebody was asking about the claws on this character.
Yeah.
Julia Stryker, Science. Tell us about Julia.
Julia is our mother of the crew. She's sort of like the bubbly sort of, I'm a teacher in my day job, so I sort of based her on like a fresh teacher working with kids, and she's really like happy and loves the job and loves working and teaching, and sort of before she gets old and jaded like I am.
She hasn't been broken down by the state or federal funding system yet. So.
That is exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Hasn't had to buy all her own pencils and paper. And print
oh man.
But so what are the claws here? What are the claws on the right?
Those are sample collecting items. And they're like Adam was saying earlier, they're all modular, so that will fit in onto other characters. The claws are removable, and other accessories can be put onto those claws. That's her camera, because she's a photographer and an artist, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then I assume that's a sample rock that she has collected.
Yeah, it can either be a sample rock, or in the comic book, there's a scene where she's working with kids, and it says like young Martians, and they're all painting these rocks red. So it's either that scene or whatever's in your head canon, which is a word I just learned through Adam the other night.
Question from Mr. Rocketeer: how articulated are the claws? Are these all points of articulation here on the claws themselves and on the arms?
He's a claw
I think
enthusiast, so you have to bear with him. He loves.
Yeah, the claws are pinchy, and then where those circles are is basically going to be like a rotating hinge, but those will also pivot, so you'll get sort of a full range of motion. You'll be able to sort of pose these up really, really nicely. And then they're somewhat modular as well, in the sense that claw will pop off, and then some of the other accessories that you see with other figures, their accessories will sort of like pop together. So Arlen actually did a render today where he's taken sort of parts of a bunch of these and sort of put them all together. But they're still with some of the like shadowed kind of locked parts as well, and it looks awesome. We'll definitely be sharing that before the campaign ends, but not quite yet.
I think judging by the reaction, you should really focus on claws. Apparently,
yeah, it sounds like claws is where it's at. Like,
claws is where it's at, guys.
You might want to consider space claws from Mars. I think.
Yeah, wave 1.5 will just be claw packs. You'll just
Claw
get
packs,
multiple claws. And
sounds like you need some crab aliens or something. I'm in for sure. All right, so we talked about Let's talk about Georgia McBride, the engineer.
Oh, she's my favorite character.
I like
she's,
ukulele.
Yeah, fun fact about that: in Arlen's career, before he was a sculptor, he was a guitar builder, and he's really good at it. And that is a very, very accurate sculpt of a ukulele. Like the frets are all to scale, the strings are all in the right spot. Everything is to scale.
So they putting a band together with the AWOC Rooster and.
Yes. I can't think of any of their like ukulele like toys. Like I've got guitars, I've got keytars, I've got saxophones. I don't have any ukuleles, so
let alone one that's going to be like this accurate.
Right.
So
how are the glasses being handled here?
So they are they're a separate piece. I'm not 100% certain if they're going to be removable or not. But they're not sculpted on. The face is sculpted, and then the glasses are sculpted, and then they are sort of on there. They may be glued, but I mean, theoretically, I guess you could probably pop them off.
Gotcha.
The face sculpts on those are amazing.
They are really good.
It really is a fantastic.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
They are just gorgeous.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah.
There's just so much personality, like in the in those. I love that they're not just kind of. I know that the last one was the sort of sassy one. This one I can see just being the one that's like, oh, come on, guys.
Yeah.
And so we've got a drill here also.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, so the engineer comes with a drill. Now that is modular, so that drill bit will come off and theoretically could go on the claw, and the claw could theoretically go on the drill.
You're opening up doorways right here. You're blowing minds.
So this is a handle. So it's a sort of to be held kind of thing. There's a trigger on there. When I was looking at the pictures earlier, I wasn't sure if this sort of base piece, which I'm going to assume is like a battery or something, counterweight. I wasn't sure if that was more of like an arm clip where it was sort of a attachment kind of thing.
No, yeah, it's a handheld tool. So.
All right, there you go. You just sold another.
Now I can't not see Gordon Freeman with those colors. Honestly,
on this one,
it does give Half-Life Gordon Freeman vibes there. I like it.
You know what? You mentioned that. No one's mentioned that one yet. It's fascinating to me how many people are like, that reminds me of
Yeah.
whatever.
I think
right?
it's the suit
Yeah.
colors is what it is.
Mhm.
But yeah.
We get a lot
There's
of
just-
Thelma.
Yeah. Velma, I could see Jinkies,
Yeah.
I almost said when I saw the glasses. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
There's just a lot of kind of like zeitgeisty touch points where, people are like, oh, is this inspired by this? And we're like, I've never even heard of that. So no, but
Yeah.
but
He's
if
a
that
crowbar.
inspires you to
Yeah.
go out and back it, then by all means, like we'll
Yeah, there's some really cool space Mars movie, I think John Carpenter or something that we've never seen, and people keep talking about it to us.
You know, at the end of the day, there's only so many ways you can wrap straps around the human body and,
Right.
decorate it with boxes and things. It's like things
Yeah.
are going to look they're going to look similar. Everybody's working from the same concept of what a spacesuit is. And, we're all sort of attracted to the same kind of retro futuristic kinds of space helmets and stuff. And we'll talk about that more in a second here with the sort of retro styling helmet. But first, let's get to, is it Michael Locke?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's our book nerd. He's kind of like the closest to us as we've been able to find. He's obsessed with this fictional story of the unslain, or it actually isn't fictional, but it's in the Nameless universe. It's real. But there's so he's kind of like the smart, sort of nerdy, socially inept kind of guy.
Hold on, are there actually going to be words in this toy book?
If
that
we
you're-
can,
Yeah,
there will
yeah.
be words on it.
Because
Yeah.
that
There'll
honestly
be a
would
cover for sure on the other
Yeah.
side.
So we got more hoses, and then this looks like the same sort of device, but now with a saw attached to
Yeah.
it that I assume will rotate.
Correct.
Excellent. And then I don't know if we had mentioned it previously. I assume visor is translucent.
Yeah, it's kind of like a smoked translucent, so you can see through it, but there is sort of some gray shade to it.
Excellent. And so we have one extra head so far with each of these. So there's that potential for a crew that is twice as large as what's pictured
Correct.
here.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, and what we did with so 3 of the 4 astronauts, Guy Garrison, we already mentioned, comes with an army builder head that's kind of that masked head, and you can put that on any one of the figures if you wanted. But the other 3 astronauts, you have sort of the named character who is sort of the main for that faction. So Michael Locke is sort of the leader of the medical faction, but he comes with the male head. You also get the female head. The 2 female astronauts come with male heads, so you get you can swap and have a bunch. You could have all your engineers if you wanted. Just if you're an engineer and you want just a core of engineers and like 10 of those, you could get multiple heads and sort of get going on.
I was gonna say, I actually appreciated that the female bodies weren't like different from the guy bodies, because like when you're in a spacesuit, you're in a spacesuit. Like, so I appreciated that, which is it's good. You're not limited.
Yeah, I went on a bit of a deep dive on astronaut suits through the space program that's existed for I mean, not that long. There's really only been, I think, 4 different sort of versions of how they do spacesuits. With the first cruise, like the Apollo missions, everybody got their own spacesuit. It was custom made because they weren't making that many, and then they went to like small, medium, large. And now they're one size fits all. So it's actually true to the current sort of way that it works. They're modular. So actually the way that it currently works is the suit itself is one size fits all, but then there's modular pieces that they add or subtract to kind of get better proportions. But yeah, so one size fits all for the spacesuit.
Boo must die. Toys, figures, collectibles. You can call them whatever you want. It's
Actually,
totally
I kind
fine.
of go with Doc Zen dolls for big boys. That's what I call mine.
These are toys for me. I mean,
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
I always say that I'm not a collector. I don't have a collection. I just buy a lot of toys, and I have 3 young kids, and they play with just about everything that I own. And if I'm looking at something and I think to myself, I don't think I would put that in the hands of my 2-year-old, I typically don't buy it.
Yeah, for
so you
sure.
let your 2-year-old play with these toys?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know,
that's the question.
I have to get into the details of like factories and stuff, but
Mhm.
the Animal Warriors or the Kingdom figures, those are durable, playable figures.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about that line. There's
Yeah,
a lot of
absolutely.
other sort of modern adult collectible lines that, these Necronominus figures are beautiful. I'm pointing it up on the top of my shelf here. They're beautiful, but I wouldn't give those to a kid.
I wouldn't
My
let my
kids
wife
do
touch
play with
anything
some
by
Mythic
NECA.
Legions figures, not the ones that have like crazy sharp bits and soft goods and like layers and layers and layers of stuff, but like a Valiant Knight or something like that. They can play with that.
Sure. Yeah. What did you say, Mike?
I wouldn't even let my wife play with anything from NECA. She's just gonna break.
Yeah, but that's not her fault.
That's not
No, it's NECA's fault. I don't expect her to know how gentle she can be with it.
They're
That's
not
right.
as bad as they used to be. They've gotten
I'm
much better.
teasing. If
Here,
Mr. or
this
Mrs.
is-
NECA is
you-
watching this, I'm just teasing.
You have to hold the hair dryer has to be on in one hand, and then you can play with it in the other
That's
hand.
right.
It's fine.
So here we have the Red Walker. I assume, are we discovering what has turned everybody into zombies, or is that something that you're giving away at the outset?
Yeah, so there's a kind of, when we get a little further in, we'll see Spike Spectre, and he's sort of the Red Dust one mission leader, who he's also Guy Garrison's mentor.
Yeah.
And you see this this helmet, we call it a crown, in the bottom there, and that is kind of the source of how everything goes wrong, and it's basically a magical sort of item that he kind of had an idea it was there for certain reasons, and so he went to Mars looking for that.
Gotcha. And he comes with this fantastic Buck Rogers style sci-fi blaster here, a knife.
I love that bubble head helmet. I love it so much.
Yeah.
I love it. And the old school backpack. Oh man, it's
the
so
old
good.
jetpack there. Yeah. So is that the sort of time difference? Is it speaking to a time difference between the two missions?
That's right. Yeah. So this would be the mission that left in the 60s. And they went first, and Spike's the leader of that mission. And then Guy Garrison's mission is basically trying to do what they failed at, and also kind of finding out what happened to them and all that stuff. So
yeah, this is hitting all the right notes with multicolor 60s and 70s era switches and stuff. Vent, just this whole console, everything looks great. He's got evil sideburns and evil eyebrows, and
hell yeah,
it's very clearly.
Yeah, the retro ones definitely have like a 50s, 60s pulp sci-fi B movie aesthetic. And then like the secondary, the sort of chess piece for the secondary is very different from the modern one. It looks, for all intents and purposes, like more or less an Astronaut does now. But this one definitely has a very different look to it.
So these zombies will sort of tell us which crew they were from as well, or in terms of era. Yeah. So obviously this is the more modern, with the busted helmet visor.
I just backed it because I want that retro thing.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And the girl with the ukulele. So
there you go. There's two.
Yeah.
So this is the older style suit. We got the older style helmet here.
He gets the smashed fishbowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for anybody that's doing toy photography or what have you, that because the helmets are all on a round neck
collar
interface. You can effectively rotate this. So if you had a few of these, it wouldn't look like all those fish bowls were smashed the same way. You just sort of rotate it around, and you could swap different zombie heads, so you'd look like your horde wasn't just cookie cutter. I got 10, but they're all the same. Like you actually do have some options for getting them to look unique.
These are pretty bulgy, John. I don't know how bulgy you want these eyeballs.
They are in the sculpt. They actually are, like, I have them all on my desk. The eyes are fairly bulgy. It doesn't necessarily look it there in the render, but they're definitely sticking out a decent amount. Not quite Total Recall, but
yeah, they're you got some range of bulge eye bulgeness.
Yeah,
see if I can find another. Oh, these are all with the actual humans here. Some size comparisons. But before we get too deep into that. I think we had this. We have this head here as well. This is beyond zombie. This is you've taken all zombie out. Now we're just a skull.
Yeah, that jaw is what do you call that? Articulated.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any plan for more bony limbs?
I think so. I think it'd be hard to make those, but I know that's kind of like it's on my mind. But
plans, yes, not within the Kickstarter, but
Sure.
for sort of future stuff.
I love an astronaut skeleton. That's one of the reasons why I bought that Waltor figure from Mythic Legions, because I'm like, space skeleton, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like,
Skeletons are so hot right now.
they are.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah. And so then here you have your Kickstarter exclusive glow in the dark. I assume it's just the sort of flesh and skull pieces. Nothing on the suit glows in the dark, right?
Correct. Yeah. The zombie flesh glows in the dark. The plan, although we haven't confirmed it yet with the factory, is the plan is for this to be like a glow in the dark semi-opaque plastic, so it's also a little bit translucent, get that weird kind of look to it, and then have all the details painted, so all the blood and the eyeballs and the teeth and all that kind of stuff will still be painted over top of the glow in the dark figure itself.
Gotcha. Definitely gonna give it that irradiated look and feel. Excellent. You did send over that articulation chart. Let's take a look at that. So so these are fully articulated. Any point of articulation you could possibly want there. Looks like you've accounted for that. You got the sort of dumbbell on the waist here, as opposed to like the more T-shaped crunch,
Yeah, no ab crunch, no waist swivel. Like these will rotate, but it's it's on a barbell, so it's gonna articulate more naturally. I keep saying more naturally, but then stipulating, but it is an action figure. It's not like it doesn't move like a human body does. But it'll give you more dynamic motion than some other figures that are out there. Drop down hips as well. Nice butterfly joint. Arlen keeps tweaking the butterfly joint to get more range of motion.
Well, I'm surprised. I'm surprised there was even a consideration for a butterfly joint there. I wasn't sure if that sort of, the collar piece that sort of comes over the shoulders, is that going to get in the way of any of that?
It won't, and that's Arlen was very, very meticulous when he was sort of sculpting these and designing them. He'd kind of print them out and sort of pose them and see how far the arm would move and how well the torso would crunch. And even with that secondary piece over top, these still move really, really well. And we've had sort of different people have sort of different takes on that. And some people are kind of going, well, why do you need an astronaut to move very well? I mean, if they're in a big, bulky astronaut suit, isn't it just kind of clumsy? And if you wanted to hit a superhero pose, you can. If you're just going to keep your astronauts in sort of clunky poses, you can do that too. But you have the options.
It's an action figure. I want to be able to put in action poses.
That's exactly. But I keep saying that zombies are almost always depicted as being kind of like crooked and like weird angles and like moving in ways that human bodies kind of can't. So I think that articulation is probably going to play more into like what you're going to want to do posing your zombies maybe than it does the astronauts, but you have the options. The trigger hand is a vertical hinge. The C grip is horizontal. And then there's a whole bunch of other, hands that are, one or the other, depending on kind of what that hand would typically do when you're kind of posing your hand.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you for including the actual, pivots, this joint here, this, I don't know what we're calling it, this sort of T-hinge, as opposed to what some companies are doing now. They've taken that pivot point out, and you have to like make your own when you get the figure in hand. Not a fan of that.
Yes, you get the neck articulation, so you're going to get that side to side, plus you're going to get the head that can kind of go on the top of the neck. So like I said, all the articulation points that you know and love are included in here. And the intention is that we're going to probably end up using some of these parts for later waves, for later lines, things like that. So we wanted to make sure that the first buck that we do has all the articulation in it.
Excellent. Is this a bonus tier? Is this a stretch goal?
So this is a stretch goal. This is the final stretch goal of the campaign. These are 5 unique head sculpts that will not be, you know, additional pack-ins with any other figures. You won't get them anywhere but the head pack for now. Yeah, everybody, that's the first thing everybody looks at. That's
I was gonna say this was somebody who fought Mike Tyson.
Mike
it's
Tyson,
an Evander Holyfield
Yeah.
ear bitten head.
Okay, so that's the last stretch goal.
Those ones we're not revealing those. That's sort of the last card. You know, we're keeping that one close to the chest until it unlocks.
Excellent. What do we got going on here?
This is a comic book and a vinyl record. So big part of how this all started was my brother and I just wanted to make some music, and we kind of got going on this idea of making a soundtrack to a toy line, and we fleshed out the entire album sort of in one night with a sleeping puppy in my lap, and fleshed out the entire album, and which became the story for the comic book essentially, and also the toy line and everything, and all the characters kind of came out of that.
So let me ask you this. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kate.
I need to ask the important question that everybody wants to know. Tell me about the sleeping puppy.
Yeah.
What is its name? What kind of dog is it?
Yes.
Is it a good boy?
Yes.
Well, it's like a pug boxer thing, and basically what happened was I was going over to Arlen's to have our first jam night, that we wanted to start a band again, and we hadn't done that for like 20 years or something together, and so we wanted to do it again. But the day before, he got this puppy, and of course I was holding the puppy, and it fell asleep on my chest, and so we're both dads. We're like, we can't wake the sleeping puppy.
No.
And so then Arlen showed me the sketches that he'd done for the space song, the skeleton, sort of like just the skeleton head with the spacesuit on, and I was like, well, let's make that our album, and we sketched it out on wrote out every song title as it sort of went through this series of this adventure, and we spent two years after that every 2 weeks. Oscar, that's the puppy, Oscar and Arlen would come over to my house, into my studio in the basement, and we would record. And Oscar is the third member of Prometheus. He has never missed a rehearsal.
Yes. Excellent.
No. You might have thought that I was joking earlier when I said that my favorite part of a toy line is the soundtrack. But one of my first inclusions in Secret Galaxy anything was the fact when I commented to Dan that I loved the Shadows of the Empire soundtrack, which is a soundtrack for not a Star Wars movie.
No.
It's legit one of my favorite things. So I agree with someone. That's like awesome. There should be more soundtracks for action figures and toy lines.
So I met Arlen and Ira once they had already kind of mapped out what they wanted to do, and they already had the soundtrack. And so when I was, when I met them at Joe Fest last year, I was asking about the figures and asking about and I was like, oh, and they were talking about the record, and that's what got me. I was like, dude, like you're speaking my language, because when I play with toys, I often like there to be a soundscape that goes with it. You know what I mean? Because that's an element where it's easy to imagine, how figures will move and stuff like that. But sometimes it's a little bit harder to imagine like the soundtrack.
Sure.
So they did the heavy lifting and just recorded a soundtrack, so I don't have to think about it. I don't have to come up with
pioneers.
So is the record, do we have like an actual theme as if this were a TV show? Is there like a Space Zombies from Mars? Is like a theme kind of thing? Or?
No, it's more like a score to a movie.
Okay. So second question, is there any theremin in here? I'm sure people
there is not an actual theremin, but there's a lot of weird synthesizer noise.
Okay.
For
and
sure.
My third question is how much it those old spooky haunted house sound albums. Mm-hmm. Is there any of that in here? Ambient screams and zombie moans and stuff.
I mean, kind of a little bit here and there. It's not like classic stuff that we pinched from from those old records, but it's we kind of got our friends to do. We wanted to do movie samples, but we thought we were going to get in trouble for copyright, so we actually just kind of texted our friends and we'd say like, "Hey, can you talk about zombies? Doesn't matter," and it would just be sort of out of context, and then we would take it, change the pitch, add some effects, and make it sound all crazy. So it kind of goes from like really dark and moody to like super funky like dance kind of stuff, and then to like basically like horror metal.
Awesome.
Industrial horror metal.
If you ever need a little sax hook in there, hit
Oh
me
yeah.
up. I got you.
That sounds good. That sounds real good.
Sexy space sax.
That's right.
Nice. Okay, well, so what about the comic? What's going on there?
Well, the comic kind of fills in all of the gaps of the record. So the record doesn't, there's no characters on the record. There's just sort of this overarching storyline, with no talking, there's a little bit of like samples and talking, but there's no singing, there's no lyrics. So the comic book is meant to sort of give the characters their characterness, and basically just build the lore of the line so we know who each character is. It actually started out, it was just going to be like a character page for each one, and then we kept growing these ideas, and it ended up being a full comic book.
Excellent. Who's do you have one artist working on that, or multiple artists, or do you know?
Well, Arlen did the art that you see there. So he did that first page, and then he also did the record cover there. And so most of it is going to be illustrated by him, but there are going to be some sequential pieces that we're probably going to get someone else to illustrate, or Arlen will do it if he has time. Actually,
Gotcha.
That's really what
this cover feels very Tony Moore to me. If you're familiar with Tony Moore, he was the first Walking Dead artist when the book originally started. It's got big Tony Moore vibes.
Yeah, you can see that's Julia there. That's her face there.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the astronaut on the label of the vinyl that's basically Arlen's sort of first original idea. It's the skeleton head in a white astronaut suit.
Yeah,
floating in space.
I dig it. I definitely dig it. Definitely.
And the first one he showed me had the hole right on his crotch.
Nice.
So we had to change it. We had to move it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Arlen's in chat. Say hi.
Oh, hey, Arlen.
And then we have some scale comparisons here. Well, this is just the three of the basic figures. And then here we are with Marvel Legends.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to fit in with pretty much any 6-inch.
Oh, wow, it's not that bad with the.
Yeah.
I was surprised with the Cosmic Legions that it was as close as it was, for sure.
I mean, that dude looks like a side of beef next to him, but
yeah.
Some of that is the suit, and some of that is his giant melon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Duke. So classified.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is just three of our humans. This is with Fresh Monkey Fiction's Monster Force, one of the figures I don't have yet. Missed it the first time around. Black Series, and then this is the whole batch of figures here. So is this everything other than exclusive? This is everything that's in the Kickstarter.
More or less. So the green astronaut, blue astronaut, green zombie, blue zombie, those are all in the initial launch. Spike Spectre and the retro zombie are technically the first unlock goals. And the red zombie will technically not come with that head, but I wanted to make sure that it got in there so that people could see the paint sample of it. And you can see this is sort of the easiest way where you can sort of see the difference between that 1960s inspired and the more modern suit. The knees are different. The boots, I think, the boots are the same, but the knees are different. And the secondary is different. Like the straps are a little bit different. So there's some details that are a little bit different on the two.
I was going to say this as well, Nebula. Spectre definitely looks less sinister here. And
he's a little less gray in the actual paint masters than he is in the renders. But they all are. I mean, there's even Guy Garrison looks a little healthier in the Paint Master than he does in the render.
But Spectre is not any less sinister there.
No,
you might look it, but he's not.
He's evil on the inside, which is where
it comes straight through from the core.
Yeah.
Excellent. Chat, let me know if there's any other questions you guys have about any of the other figures here. I do see now that there is sort of an intentional kind of cutout, carve out here where you got that butterfly in there, which is very good to see.
Yeah, they move really, really well. That's
it's gonna be tough. Like I sort of have like a self-imposed Kickstarter pledge rule where it's like, and it's normally for companies that haven't proven themselves, right? You guys obviously have worked with several Kickstarters at this point. There's people on board with this team. I always have to like do my due diligence. I got to research everybody. I've been burned on 1 or 2 Kickstarters in the past, and that's never happening again.
It's tough. That's a very good point.
So I'll usually, especially if it's a company I've never heard of before, or they haven't actually produced a Kickstarter before, obviously everybody involved with this has been through this before. I'll go in for 1 figure, the exclusive, and then anything else. It's like, well, if they deliver someday, then I'll pick up other figures from the line. But this is definitely a campaign where I feel confident that, you guys know what you're doing and have all that stuff picked out, factories and shipments and all those plans.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I can, elaborate on that too. Our project manager is going to be Chris Garwich, who people know from typically from Mythic Legions. We are going to be using...
He also D13 Toys. He did his own Kickstarter.
Exactly.
Biblical. Which one is
we
his?
are going to be using the same factory as Mythic Legions. It's also the same factory as Operation Monster Force. And I don't know why we weren't saying it earlier, but like basically these are going to be interchangeable with Operation Monster Force, so the heads will fit.
I was going to ask that because they look very similar.
Yeah. Well, it's just it's partly a result of like a good relationship with Bill at Fresh Monkey Fiction, and just sort of we have access to like, okay, how big is this part? Will this work with yours? And so it just made sense to sort of make that happen. So, if you want vampire astronauts, you can absolutely go that route as well. Yes. You want a forgotten king in an astronaut suit.
They got werewolf heads coming. They got all kinds of invisible man, Dracula. You need a Dracula astronaut.
I've been, before we kind of had said anything about that was sort of the intention from a while ago. And I was like slowly just stockpiling Fresh Monkey Fiction heads by way of figures to like put on astronauts and stuff like that.
Yes. That's very exciting, and it's hard to know where the line is. Like, can you promote that? Is that something you really want to be a part of your campaign? Like, well, you want to stand on your own first, and then kind of throw in, oh, by the way, just in case. Very cool. Yeah, no, those are quality figures. All of the companies you just named, all the toy lines you just named, so those are all quality figures that I have tons of stuff on my shelves over here. So
and I mean it means that the hand feel of the astronaut is going to be familiar to something that you probably already have in your collection. And that's, again, with a Kickstarter, you're kind of like, well, I don't know what it's gonna feel like it might look good, but it might not feel good.
Absolutely.
You might get it and like the articulation is kind of weird and stiff or loose or whatever, but these will be something that you're already used to. There's already product out there that is representative of the quality that this factory could put out. So
who just said it? Nebula 427. The sort of Super Sentai nature of the multicolors definitely speaks to me. That is definitely something
we've had multiple people ask for a yellow one.
So, you get a pink astronaut in there,
one and a yellow
black astronaut. Suits, I mean, as far as all the suit colors are concerned.
Who knows?
Mike and I were just watching the newest Super Sentai Gojuger that has the first, as far as we know, the first female black ranger, black suit, meaning, which after 50 years, you're like, why?
Yeah,
why did it take 50 years?
They had it was only like 2 or 3 years ago. They had the first male pink ranger. So.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, mix it up, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let me see. Let me bring the actual campaign back up here again. So we can close off on that. Anything else about the campaign you wanna say, as far as like just to promote anything else that we missed, you think? Or
I mean, I think that's most of it. I mean, the big thing is, you know, it doesn't charge your card till the end of the campaign. So if you're on the fence, you know, you can still put a pledge in now, and you still have time to kind of reconsider, you know, what your pledge level is going to be. So you can pledge for one and just sort of get in there, and then add to your pledge. As somebody mentioned, they didn't know that you could change your pledge. You can absolutely change your pledge between now and the end of the month. So, you know, there's really no risk right now. Again, some campaigns run where it charges your card. That's not how Kickstarter works. So we will be doing a backer kit, very likely doing a backer kit for this. So if you sort of pledge for one of those reward tiers that says like you can pick any 4 astronauts or whatever, that's where you'll pick it. That's where you'll put your address in. Shipping will be charged once we get the figures, you know, in hand and we're ready to ship. The reason for that is shipping changes all the time, and there's absolutely no way that we can calculate what it will be, you know, a year and a year and a bit from now. We are in Canada, so what we have sort of looked at is like probably most of the orders are going to be fulfilled from the United States. We're going to use a third-party fulfillment company that I've been using for other toy lines that you know, I've been involved with, and they're phenomenal. Like, they get the job done so quickly and so efficiently that I would be an idiot not to use them. But for Canadian backers, I'm actually gonna probably just ship them from my house. I'll just get a few cases shipped to me, and then I'll ship them to Canadian, so that you're not gonna have to worry about extra fees or duties or anything like that. So what I keep saying to people who ask is that, you know, anything that we can do to keep the shipping costs down, I'm absolutely going to do. As a Canadian collector, you know, I've paid so much in shipping and duties and just weird fees. That's my wife. She always, it's just that's her like running joke.
I got the joke. It was fun.
I got it too. Good joke.
We all got it.
Yeah.
When I met Arlen and Ira, and they're like, "Yeah, we should start a toy company," I said, "I gotta ask my wife first. I gotta make sure that." I'm working for Spiro, and then on top of that, like, so I have like a 9-to-5 job, and then I work for Spiro in the evenings. And then she was like, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" And I was like, "Nope, but
no.
I'm gonna do it anyway."
Yeah.
So she basically signed off for the month of March. She's like, she's a single mother for 1 month, and she's taking care of the kids and doing everything, because if I'm not doing a video, I'm usually kind of updating something or replying to emails or comments or messages or anything like that. So shout out to my wife Amanda, who's been absolutely amazing through this process.
Thanks, Amanda.
Yes, all
Excellent.
of the
Thank
shadows.
you. Absolutely.
If I may, I have a pitch here to get the people to back it, because now that I'm a backer, I feel like I can speak for the company.
Just turn it on.
Okay.
Well, hey,
Now you got some skin
just
in the
before you
game.
do, now that you are a backer,
Yeah.
you know, you should, right? Because you've got
Right.
these things that are going to unlock, and you get
100%.
more stuff.
Well, and the ones I really want are unlocks. So I backed it to get in, but I want unlocks. So here's my pitch, guys. Ira has a puppy. If you don't want that puppy to die, you need to support this, because if Ira doesn't sell toys, that puppy doesn't eat food. And you are taking food away from that puppy by
Just
not
picture
backing
the
it.
sad puppy face.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you hate
Arms
puppies,
of
don't
the
back.
angels.
If you go to the Prometheus Instagram, you'll see a picture of him.
There you go.
I'm not saying you're killing that
I'm going
dog.
right now.
Are you
I'm
gonna
not
kill
saying
my
you're not.
puppy?
Yeah, right.
Are you gonna do that?
So this ends on April 1st at 12 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Don't wait till then. And that's real. April 1st, April Fool's Day, but it'll actually end
It's
that
the day before my birthday. Let's go.
It actually,
All right.
it actually ends March 31st at 9 p.m.
Oh boy.
Pacific time. So I'm not sure why it says
April
that.
Fools.
Oh no, I guess no. That's Eastern. That's Eastern.
Yeah, I'm
So,
Eastern.
That's
I'm in
right.
Eastern time
midnight.
zone right now, so it's probably giving me the
It's showing your
midnight
time zone.
yeah.
That's why it's doing that. Yeah.
time dependent. We're depending on where you actually are.
Yeah,
for it.
exactly.
So just all the more reason, back it sooner rather than later,
Mhm.
so you don't get stuck on that line of did you back it in time or not. Let's real quick here, Mike Phil.
Oh, yeah. So, you're mailing things out from your house. Is your wife okay with that? Like, okay,
I
biggest
don't know.
doesn't.
Also, for the record,
Yeah, she'll be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, the thing is, that's for me to be able to ship these from my house, that means that
Yeah.
the toy line is funded and we're sort of making progress, right? So
I just
think it's,
so there's been a couple times, you get pre-orders from stuff, it all kind of
Mhm.
comes in at once, and I'm like, oh my god, this. So I couldn't imagine just the day where you get stuff from the factory where you have like 30 boxes of zombies and astronauts. You're just like, what do I do with all these?
I live. We have a decent sized, piece of land that has outbuildings, so I can actually. There's like garages and sheds and
Okay.
things where I can.
Oh,
tuck,
tell us
more
about how
boxes away.
awesome Canada is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, we're all
pretty great.
From Canada.
It's pretty great.
We're all thinking about moving right now.
Yeah,
Right?
Ira, I'm
It's a
looking
free
at
range dragon. That's what
I'm
I
looking at
got.
your
It's just-
Instagram. I don't
Yeah,
see any
that's-
pictures
I
of
mean,
this
my-
No,
puppy.
I found him. I found him.
Oh,
Oh, is he on there?
Confirmed. Oscar's
You
on
gotta-
here.
You got to go to the Prometheus one, which is
Yeah,
Prometheus
Arlen and
one.
his
All right.
band. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, if I were to get a
Confirmed.
dragon, I
He's
would have a free
ridiculously
range
cute.
dragon.
Yeah.
I'd live outside.
It's actually Arlen's puppy. It's not my puppy. Yeah,
Well, Arlen's in chat too, so I guess that's fair.
that's true. Yeah.
He's also a member of Prometheus, so that's. I mean,
Yeah.
it's.
If
Oh
you
my
don't.
gosh, she's so cute.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay,
There he
that's a
is.
cute dog. This is the face of the
This
dog.
is
that
what you need
will
to be thinking about when you're deciding whether or not to
When
back
you
this campaign.
pre-order and you back
Yes.
this Kickstarter, this is the
wants-
face of
he
the
wants
dog. you're
Every
supporting.
every dollar that goes to this campaign puts another treat in that dog's mouth.
Look
right.
how hungry he is.
He wants everyone to have all of the extra
Yeah,
Zombie
zombie
All the
limbs.
packings, yeah, absolutely.
all
All
the
the skelly bones.
unlock all those parts. There you go.
Yes.
This will
Hashtag
be the
do it
most
for
successful.
Oscar.
Yeah, do it
Yes.
for Oscar.
Do it for us. Excellent. Well, thank you very much, guys. Please, everybody, go check that out. In fact, let's. I'll put it in. That's it. Go back. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. I'm going to put it in chat one more time. I was like, I'll put it in later. But
It's
I'm gonna
pretty.
turn it off.
I mean, it's pretty easy to get there too. You go to Kickstarter and you put in space zombies from Mars. It's
Yeah,
pretty.
Kickstarter suggested it to me when I logged in because Kickstarter
Oh, nice.
knows what I
Nice.
like, so-
Awesome.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Excellent. Definitely go check it out. Do it for Oscar. Unlock that. Unlock all those figures. Everybody would definitely like to get the whole crew. If there's a stretch goal that you're interested in, just put the pledge in now. And if it's you're sitting there, on April 29th or whatever, gauge accordingly.
I'm also
But,
saying this isn't a bad idea right here. I'm just,
Make a
if you
sculpt of
ever
the
wanna
dog's head
make
for the astronauts. I'm in. Yeah.
I'm just saying it's not a bad
For sure,
idea
for
if you ever
sure.
want to
Yeah.
throw one in there next wave
Yeah.
or so or two. Yeah.
I actually the AWOC heads look pretty decent on the bodies
nice.
too.
Oh,
Somebody
nice.
asked to see that
Yes.
yesterday. So
Love a good animal astronaut.
if you want
That's
monkeys in
right.
space, but I also pointed out that because these are going to be compatible with the Fresh Monkey Fiction stuff. You've got monkeys, you've got werewolves, you've got vampires, you've got.
What
there's
about
a
Santa
whole bunch
Claus?
of it. I think that one works too. I think that one works too.
Santa Claus in space. All right.
Oh my god.
Very good.
And
Awesome. Well,
I also
cool.
noted too that if you get like the green and the red, you could do like swaps, and you could have like a Christmas collection. And then we were joking, you get the zombies and they have the pants torn off, so you get like a summer zombie. So you can have a Christmas zombie, a summer zombie. You can have all the different. You can have seasonal zombies.
Yeah.
seasonal zombies.
excellent. Well, I just saw the count go up, so thank you for whoever just put that in.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming, hanging out with us for a little bit of time and talking to everybody about the campaign. Thank you to everybody in chat for who hung out and learned more about this campaign. Thank you for going and contributing if you have done that as well. Ira and Adam, thank you so much. Good luck with the rest of the campaign, and hopefully we'll get this all unlocked.
Yeah, thank you
Awesome.
so much
Thanks
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
giving us the opportunity to reach out to your audience.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for hanging out. Mike, thanks for hanging out. Kate, thank
Of
you.
course.
We'll see you
Thank
next
you.
time. Oh, actually, let me real quick. We should be back next week. I know sometimes we don't talk about what we're doing next, but we should be back here next week talking with. We may have Trevor on, Trevor 16 Shooter. We'll see. If nothing else, we'll just be hanging
He's
out.
also
talking about
going to
stuff.
be on my podcast.
What?
I know.
My.
On the Black Series Cantina. All
That's
right.
right.
Making the rounds. All right. Well, thank you very much. Have a good night, everybody. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Peace.